Hello, it's James from Discord for the final time. Welcome to the last video in our how-to. We're just going to look at mastering. Now, we are super aggressive on a master. I mean, I guess most people in kind of trap and EDM are really. And, you know, I guarantee you there's a lot of things that we do on our master that I can't really give you a technical explanation for why we do it other than it sounds really good. And a lot of people, sort of more technically trained people might well say, why are you doing that? You're killing all your dynamics or whatever it might be. But the fact is, like, we just want the tracks to sound good to us. We know what sounds good. We've been producing for a fairly long time. We know what we like the sound of. So that's what it comes down to for us. So we also do, much like with our mixing, where we tend to mix as we're writing, we tend to have the master, this master chain will generally be on all the way through the writing process, which is another thing that some people would not do, but we just, we like it to sound like it's going to sound whilst we're working on it, basically. And this is kind of a mastering chain that we've sort of gradually, especially since we moved to Ableton, we've sort of gradually put this together, and now we're damn happy with it. So we are super aggressive with the master. Like I say, we use sausage fattener on the master. Again, another something that some people might look down on a little bit, but we love it. It sounds sick. So I'll just sort of run you through each of the plugins on the master, and kind of, if I can, give you a run through of what it's doing. If not, just you'll be able to hear that it sounds better, basically. So let's start with just the glue. So this is the glue compressor, which, and it's a setting which we've kind of tweaked. A preset which we tweaked. So this one basically catches any peaks that are coming through and brings them down. We never have that, or we try and avoid that having any more than, it should be less than 5 dB of reduction. So it's not completely, it's not working overboard, basically. So you could see in the drop, see, that's barely even working at the moment. So that's kind of the most movement we want from it, really. We don't want it to be going crazy the whole time. So normally that's about right. Again, it's not that one's not a massively aggressive one. So this one here, this is obviously multi-band compressor, and it's just something that we've again loaded, tweaked around with, and gradually got it how we like it. This seems to just sort of fatten up the body of the sound. See how that sort of low mid and stuff gets really quite growly. So that's what we use that one for. Then we've got this another multi-band compressor, and this one is super aggressive. So this is really just kind of smashing the hell out of it, really. There's no polite way to put it. It's just smashing it. And we usually crank this one right up as well. This brings out the top end quite a lot, and kind of just lifts the entire track up. I hope I hope this makes sense to you. If it makes sense, again, it's another thing that makes it perfect sense to me in my head. I'm just hoping that you can understand it. So I'll just compare that one. That's without. You can hear that just absolutely just pulls all the frequencies up, makes everything sound really, really aggressive and kind of in your face. And it's making it loads louder as well, because that's turned right up, which always sounds better, but it is actually, it does actually sound good as well. So if you turn the gain down, so it's not actually affecting the volume so much, so the output down, so it's not affecting the volume so much, you can tell it is still affecting the sound a lot. But yeah, multi-band compressor, the volume always comes down a fair bit when you're this aggressive with it. So obviously, because you're compressing the death out of it. So then we've got a saturator. We don't always actually have this one on, to be honest. We use, obviously for this one, because we've limited ourselves to pretty much only stock Ableton plugins apart from Sausage Fattener. We often use, there's like some of the isotope exciters, and the new one, the Neutron's got a really good exciter in. So there's other options for saturation on the master and for other channels as well. But for this track, this worked, so we're keeping it on. Again, it's just like really, it's just adding a bit more grit and a bit more warmth to the overall sound. And then the pièce de résistance is the Sausage Fattener, and basically we just absolutely smashed the living dead out of it. So just it seems to be a theme for our master channel. But yeah, so basically fatness is on 0, color's on 0, so it's not actually coloring or overly distorting or smashing the sound that much. It's really just clipping it, to be honest. But it's the best clipper that we've found. We don't like the Ableton limiter, it's rubbish. Don't really like limiting in general on the master. I much prefer clipping it because it sounds punchier. It doesn't squash the sound so much. It kind of just it just sounds better, in my opinion. So essentially what we do with this is keep turning it up until this goes red. So basically that's about where we want to get it to. Normally we just have it so that essentially this is not solid red, but just kind of dipping in and out of red, so you're not just completely destroying it. But you could do that too, because that might well sound great. So yeah, we'll just keep turning it up until we're happy with it, basically. Like, there is still some movement there, so we're not completely destroying things. Maybe we are. And then we just use this. It's a free plugin. We just use this to monitor the RMS. It's not like the most important thing in the world, but it's good to know that your tunes are gonna at least kind of compete with other stuff in the EDM world, which is generally going to be no quieter than like -5 and often louder. So we just kind of watch that whilst we have that up whilst we're tweaking these. So we've always got an eye on making sure that it's nice and loud at the end. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for the mastering as well. So I hope you guys have got something out of this. Make sure we'd love you to send us any tunes that you write from things you've learned from this tutorial. We really want to hear them, so make sure you send them to us. And if you watch through all of this and you think you've got way better ideas than us, then send us those as well, because we want to hear them. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.
If you like this course, why not head over to sonicacademy.com, where we have hundreds of complete track builds in every genre imaginable, including all the project files and samples. You'll also find tutorials on plugins and synths, mixing and mastering, over 250 tech tips, artist interviews, along with our award-winning plugins, samples and preset packs.